You guys had WPC Winter Park Construction with all that last over there? Or? I saw them right now, all gathered right there in front of your office. For,
Yeah, we had, I think what was going on. Oh, I know where I was talking to Lisa Jenkins.
See, get it out.
Son was asked for the last several years.
This is a different setup.
No, we're up.
Yeah, we're trying something different.
Jury duty.
You're trying to what?
We're trying something different.
Okay,
I got picked.
okay, so we're ready? We're unmuted. Okay. I'm going to, before I call this commission meeting to order, I see that we have a lot of attendees, which makes me very happy. And most of them are via Zoom. So you guys are muted at this point, and if you wish to speak at the appropriate time when we ask for comments, please raise your hand and Alicia will unmute you so you can speak. Okay? And so I will call this meeting for April 13th to order, and please stand for the pledge and the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sal?
Father God, thank you once again for entrusting us with your town. I ask that you give us your wisdom and discernment, and that we make decisions this evening that's best for our citizens, and that we honor you in everything we say. In your glorious name, we ask you. Amen. Amen.
All right. Alicia?
Okay.
Not Alicia, Elise.
That's okay.
Why do you have to have names that are so
I
similar?
know. Commissioner McCollum,
Present.
Commissioner Pollan,
Here.
Commissioner Ramos,
Present.
Vice Mayor Satterfield,
Present.
Mayor Stark.
Here.
We are all here.
All right. So the first order of business is an Arbor Day Proclamation.
Question.
Oh, has there been any ex parte communication?
Oh, yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, we have talked about taking that off. So eventually I think we'll get to that. So, okay, now there's an Arbor Day Proclamation. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday is called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil and wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our town increase property values and enhance economic vitality of business areas and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Kathy Stark, as the mayor of town of Oakland, do hereby proclaim April 30th as National Arbor Day. And we are yet again a Tree City, USA. And though we have lost some trees, we have planted, I don't know the number this year, but we have planted a great many trees. So I'm very happy about that. All right. Public forum. Public forum is where if we have someone who wishes to speak on an item that is not already on the agenda, this is your opportunity to speak. We ask that you keep your comments brief and let us know what's on your mind. And as a reminder, if you're on the Zoom, please raise your hand and Alicia will unmute you so you can speak.
All those people with nothing to say.
Well, it might be something that's already on the agenda. Okay, we're going to move on if I don't have anything. Anybody in the audience? Okey dokey. Consent agenda. Do we have any questions or anything we'd like to pull out? Oh, I'm sorry.
Please, Rosser, just raise your hand.
Judy?
Good evening,
Alicia?
everyone. I just wanted to project a shout out to the Public Works Group for doing a great job and some cleanup efforts that were needed from the storm on Sunday. It was a pretty tough day for Oakland and others in the area, but your group did a great job. Just wanted to say thanks.
Thank you, Judy.
Thanks, Judy. And I would have to say thank you to Scott. He came out and addressed some issues that we had heard about. And for the most part, there was no flooding. There was one issue where we just had to wait for the storm drain to go down, but the cemetery was good and everything looked good as far as standing water went.
And no power losses either, right, in Oakland?
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
I had a blink.
I was gonna say I blinked,
I had a
but
blink.
that was
Yeah.
nothing.
But we did have a microburst on Saturday. So,
Wind, from that high wind.
yes. Yes, it blew things around quite a bit. So, okay, well, thank you, Judy. We're going to move on to consent agenda. And do we have anything we want to pull out or talk about?
I'll make the motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Did I get a second?
Yep.
Rick seconded. Okay. From the folks that are here in the building, do we have any questions or comments? Anybody joining us virtually, raise their hand, please, if you have any questions or comments.
Mayor,
Oh,
I know you've probably gone over this. I'm just curious what the St. John's River Water Management District year funding is.
I'll let Steve speak about that.
Okay.
It's in the agenda package, but it's essentially, we are getting some additional funding for the water to the septic to sewer conversion project that's going on the west side of town.
Thank you.
Any hands raised? Okay. Alicia, if you're speaking, I can't hear you.
Mayor, can you hear me?
Nope. I can barely hear you.
Okay, I see no hands
Still
raised.
can't hear.
Okay,
Still my hand.
got that one. Thank you. Okay. Other policy matters. We're going to have an exciting roundabout update.
Did you get a vote on that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to bring back to the table. All in favor? I'm acting like I haven't done this before. Now we're going to have an exciting roundabout update.
Things we get excited about.
Hey, this is all over. We'll all be very happy.
Yes, I know. All right, so the purpose of this presentation is again, just to present to the town commission an update on the roundabout project. And I've got a map towards the end to kind of put this in context. There's no action requested. This is just simply an update to give you an idea of where things stand with the roundabout. So the roundabout at the intersection of Old County Road 50 and Oakland Avenue, it's on the west side of town. It's kind of a very complicated intersection. JW Jones is right there, and you have a West Orange Trail pedestrian crossing. It's a rather, like I said, complicated and somewhat dangerous intersection with a lot of conflicts between pedestrians and cars, and it also gets very backed up in the mornings and in the afternoons. It has been something that's been contemplated going back to 2006 when they were talking about the Plaza Colina development, and it's actually contemplated within that development agreement on the Lake County side. The county and town both determined that the traffic constraints exist at that intersection, and I will tell you that that intersection is too close to Highway 50 and the light that's at Highway 50, because I know people have asked, why don't we just do a traffic light there? And it's not warranted, and it's not something that would work because of the proximity to Highway 50. So it was determined that a roundabout would be the way to go. So the county and the town have determined that the design, permitting, construction, operation of a roundabout will alleviate some of the traffic constraints and have the safety of the intersection. So moving from that, working with the county, the town actually started the design of this project going back about 4 years ago when the Oakland Trails subdivision was being contemplated. So the town has designed, permitted, and acquired all the right-of-way for this intersection improvement. Through the county and through the commissioner's office, we were able to work with Metro Plan Orlando, and we got initial funding for this project of $1.1 million. Recently, an updated budget with Metro Plan and their work plan. We were able to get the construction of this project, $2.3 million, fully funded. Just go back to this side and finish.
Isn't it just mind-boggling that a roundabout will cost that much money?
So again, the town has prepared and delivered the bid package to the county for the FDOT standards, and the county and the town have included the roundabout project in the respective capital improvement projects. So in their program. So we actually have the money for our portion of the roundabout previous to what's this 2.3 million. So we've got $1 million budgeted for the project. We will not need all of that money moving forward, but we budgeted for that during this budget year. Again, the total construction estimate of this project is $2.3 million. It's funded through Metro Plan Orlando by the state of Florida. So this is actually state funds and possibly federal highway funds that are funding this project. The other piece of this project that's still left out there is the construction, engineering, and inspection that goes along with the construction project. And they do they are your oversight of the project, and they're a third-party independent consultant that handles that. That portion is about $300,000, and that will be equally funded between Orange County and the town of Oakland. So where we thought we might have $1 million project for the town is probably closer to 150 to 200,000, depending on the construction of the project and if there's any change orders. We will share equally in change orders with the county unless we request something as the town. If we request a change, then we will pay for that. But as of right now, I don't see any needs for those change orders. But we've got an agreement and going through the calendar here. The schedule. So just going back to the interlocal agreement between Oakland and Orange County for the construction of this project and setting all that funding in place. That was approved by the commission in September and by Orange County Commission on October 13th, and that's in effect. Then the next step in the process is the county has to have an agreement, a local agency program agreement with the state that puts the funding into place. It was needed by February 8th, so they were working with the state on that. That was more of a county thing than the town. But that actually went to Orange County Commission on March 23rd and was approved. So what that does is sets up the next step. So the funding will be available through the state, through Metro Plan on July 1st in the next state budget year. So with that, the county can then set up their calendar of their schedule of what's going to happen. So on July 1st of 2021, so in a couple of months, this project will be put out to bid. The bid opening date, and again, this is tentative, but this is really come into focus in the last couple of months as to the direction that we're going and where we're at. So the bid opening date will be in August. The award date for the construction will happen on October 6th. The executed contract date, November 10th. Again, there's a lot of administrative steps that go through this. So you see about 6 months of administrative things that happen. The pre-construction date, the pre-con meeting will be December 15th, and then the notice to proceed to the contractor is estimated to be on January 19th of 2022. The project at this point, based off the design, is 241 days with a substantial completion of August 18th and a final acceptance of September 17th. So the county is managing the construction using the engineering firm CPH that designed it, and the town will be part of any decisions that need to be made, but the project is moving forward. So, and then the next slide is just kind of a map. I had CPH working with Mike Parker put together just a very simple map that I could sit down with people, with residents. I showed this at my coffee with the manager last week, just to kind of give you an idea of what the project's going to look like. So what's in orange is the existing alignment of those roads. What's in green is what the future alignment's going to look like. You'll see that J.W. Jones is straightened out and comes in, in a perpendicular manner to the roundabout. Old Highway 50 does the same thing. You change the alignment of Highway 50. You bring Oakland Avenue in from the east side, and then north to south, is your connection to Highway 50. It actually moves the intersection back a little bit, allows more stacking capability as you're going out to 50. As part of this project, there will also be an additional turn lane at the Highway 50 intersection. So that intersection will be widened. So you actually have 2 lanes that can go left out of there. So there'll be more stacking capability. It reduces the amount of conflicts of pedestrian. Right now, if you try to ride your bike through that intersection, you're having to look at Oakland Avenue coming both directions and Old Highway 50 all at the same time as you're trying to make a decision to cross that intersection. Now with crossing, you actually have 2 crossings here, but at each one of those crossings, you're only looking one way. You get to the median, then you look the other way, and then you cross the intersection. So you're not having to look 2 or 3 different ways. So it will be a much safer situation and reduce the number of conflicts with pedestrians crossing that at those places. And so all in all, again, I bring this up, and I try to bring this up as often as I can. It will be a very disruptive project. They will have maintenance of traffic that they'll have to follow as part of the design and part of the construction. We will, when highway construction takes over to construct it, right now it's going through the bid process, and then I'll put in the fall when the next department takes it over for the county. We will build that relationship with them so that we can get whatever information we need to get out to the residents. So we'll try to keep everybody abreast of lane changes and construction starting and all of that coming through the county. We'll get it out on our social media channels and through our website. So we're going to do everything we can to make sure we're out front on things that are happening, but it will be, again, you see it's about an 8 or 9 month project. It will be disruptive. And again, that's a very busy intersection. So it's going to be very difficult. People coming in from Lake County they're going to get stuck. So I think a lot of them will end up going down that one road. I can't think of the name of it. That takes you out to 50 and Lake something, Lake Boulevard.
Yes.
So, but as much as I can get it out there so people can start thinking about alternative routes on this project. And then the one other thing I wanted to bring up, I got in contact with the Florida Turnpike Enterprise last week, and I've been banging this drum a lot over the last 6 months. The Turnpike is doing a widening project from exit 272 in Oakland to exit 278 in Mineola. It's a 6 mile stretch that's going from 4 lanes to 8 lanes. Project's been in the works since 2014, 2015. I even had somebody ask about sound walls. We've had this discussion 2 or 3 years ago with the commission. They did not put sound walls on any of along that corridor at all as far as widening the project. But I know people are still, wondering whether they were going to do that or not. That was something that had to be contemplated 5 or 6 years ago. As far as I know, they're not adding any sound walls to that. But that project is moving forward. So like I said, like with this project, it's about 6 months of admin. So they just awarded the bid on March 23rd to a company called Junior Davis. So they're going through that 6 months of admin, agreements, notice to proceed. So I would say probably in about 6 months, they'll start mobilizing for that project. I don't have a schedule yet, so I can't tell you when the bridge will be out of commission, but the bridge on Oakland Avenue that goes over the turnpike will be out of commission for about 8 to 12 months. And then they're gonna, as they widen that span for those 8 lanes, they're gonna put a new wider bridge in that will be wider in both directions. It'll be wider with lanes and shoulders, and it'll be wider because of the span. So that's also coming. It'll probably run concurrently with this.
But they're not closing the road off.
Oakland Avenue will be closed. That bridge will be out of commission for 8 months.
So there will be no traffic on Oakland Avenue?
Not where that bridge stands.
Or are they going to reroute it?
Removing the bridge and then bringing a whole new bridge in.
But where are they going to reroute the traffic?
People are going to either have to go out to, if you're on one side, you're going to go out to 50. If you're on the other side, you're going to come to Tuff Street, or you're going to go through Sansparilla to get to Highway 50. So I know there's people in Longleaf that are already discussing, Sansparilla being used, but I think in the short term, that is part of the traffic opportunity there. In the long term, once that bridge is put back in place, things will get back more to normal. At the same time, this project will also be done, so things should be running much.
It'll be better.
But there is no way to keep one lane open or any of that. That bridge has to be removed and replaced.
Okay.
So
For those of you who were here, what was that, about 10 years ago? Remember when they shut 535 down
Yep, yep. Violent road.
and took that bridge out? It's painful while they do it. And
I forgot about that.
I remember that vividly.
So, and then the other thing is the pedestrian bridge will also be replaced, but they're not doing it at the same time. So they're going to do one and then the other.
Okay.
So the pedestrian bridge will be in place while the road bridge is out. And then when the road bridge has been replaced, then they'll take the pedestrian bridge and replace it. So it's like a 2-year situation between the two, the two bridges. The bridge that goes over J.W. Jones will also change. That's a smaller subsection of traffic there, but that one, they will have to keep a lane open because the bridge is going over. They will have to keep some lanes open as they're doing the J.W. Jones, because that's more of an overpass there. And then all the way through Lake County, when you get to 455 and some of those other intersections there, same issue. Like it's going to have the same, it's a 4-year project. So they'll be working their way towards Mineola. I think at 455, they're actually putting a roundabout in front of that Colina Bay subdivision where Old Highway 50 and.
Yeah, well, that's a messed up subdivision or intersection too.
It is, but again, that one's going to be out of commission for a period of time. That'll be like next as they're moving down the project. So like I said, as soon as we have more information and I can provide more scheduling and information, I certainly will get that out. I'm on the list now to get information from the PIO that they just appointed to the position or to the project.
Well, and as a reminder, the turnpike, if we don't have jurisdiction over the turnpike and what they choose to do with those roads, they ask for our input, whether, what they take out of that, I don't know. But this is not, we have no jurisdiction over the turnpike improvements.
Well, and the turnpike has a multi-phase project that they're going to 8-lane the turnpike all the way to 75. So if you look into a 5-year work plan, they've already got the next section from Hancock to 27 funded, and it's like 3 years out. So they are taking this all the way to 75 over a period of time.
Well, I remember how painful it was when they improved from Orange Blossom Trail to here.
Yeah.
But in the end, it was well worth it. So when we were talking about this, I really feel like people will go up 50 and jump on the turnpike and go to Hancock, to hit the Claremont areas, probably
It's gonna probably be
to
the
be
best.
the
option.
least painful way around this.
Like I said, I fully expect it to be disruptive. It's going
It's
to
going to
be.
be.
And the best I can do is commit to getting as much information out to as many people as possible. And like I said, I've been trying to be in the front of this and making sure that nobody's surprised when these projects start to happen.
Yeah.
That's all I've got. I'm open to any questions anybody might have. I am happy to meet with citizens. If you just give me a call, I can sit down with you with the map. The other thing that you don't see on here that I forgot to bring up was Oakland Trails. The two sides of Oakland Trails will have sidewalks that connect them to the trail. So right now, if you lived in Oakland Trails, it's very hard to get to the West Orange Trail. This is going to make make them have a very safe opportunity to get to the West Orange Trail if they want to use that.
And I'm sure that this will be, one of the best ways to get ongoing information is through the coffees with the town manager and the notes.
But people can call me, you can send me emails through the website. I'll sit down with people. I've got this map. I can sit down and talk about it. We've got the schedule now. This is all on the agenda. So again, I'm happy to talk to anybody that wants to. I've actually taken a couple phone calls in the last couple of days because I know there's a lot of discussion within Longleaf over the projects. Timing wise, even with the apartment complex, honestly, the first building probably won't start leasing up until later in the year. If they're working on leasing, these projects will already be going. It's not like the apartment complex is going to be full. By the time it gets full, hopefully both of these projects are finishing up. So there is a little bit of a timing thing. It's not like you're going to have 340 units of people all of a sudden all going through, town because everything's closed off. I think it's going to just kind of work itself together concurrently. So I'm hoping people aren't looking at the worst case. But we'll have to see. I mean, again, it's a very complicated situation with two different projects going on and then development happening.
Okay, so if we have questions in the audience, I know Lou, you've got your hand up.
I just have a suggestion. If the turnpike's closed and they have to come to Toe Street, that's going to be the most traffic will be coming from that apartment. Maybe in the morning, like they have at the school, they could have a police officer. And because not many people are coming from Toe Street, if nobody's there, he can just wave people through instead of them just having to stack up, they can just keep them going right, because they're probably going to want to go down to 50. And, that's maybe a solution.
Absolutely. I think there'll be some certain parts of this project that we're going to have to react to as it starts to happen. We'll have to gauge what the traffic situation is. And I know Chief Pete will do whatever he needs to do to help with the traffic. So
It's a very good idea, though.
Yeah.
What's your name?
it is certainly something that we can react to if the need warrants.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know until it happens, so.
Yep, that's a great idea.
Looks like a couple of hands.
Okay, well, do we have anybody else in the building?
Just got a little question.
We'll be right there with you.
Is a single lane roundabout?
Yes, sir.
And just out of curiosity, so if we have that double turn, they're gonna merge before they get to the roundabout?
I don't know how long the stacking lanes will be, but they'll end up coming out and then it should widen up and they should have 3 options instead of 2 on the highway. You can go right or you can go left right now, left or straight. You'll have 2 left and 1 right as you come into Highway 50. So you'll have 3 options as you come out of that roundabout.
I was thinking about the opposite, so maybe I misunderstood. Coming from 50 to the roundabout. You
Coming
said-
from 50 to the roundabout.
Is that
you'll
what
have
you
1
said?
lane.
Oh, so but the turn lane is a single turn lane?
Yes.
Oh, I thought that's where you
But
said.
no, I was talking as you're coming from the roundabout going to Highway 50, you'll actually have an additional lane
Okay, the turn on the fifth.
So that you'll have more space there and you have more stacking ability, because that's where it gets backed up, is right there. People are trying to get on Highway 50. I guess going left to get to the turnpike. So there will be some additional capacity at that intersection.
Okay, ready to go to the virtual folks?
Yes, ma'am.
And if they could state their name and address to the record?
Sure. You want to start with Judy?
Yeah.
Judy?
Hi, it's Judy Rosser, 201 Briley Avenue. Steve, I just wondered if they have a plan for the bike trail. I mean, there seems to be a lot of activity in that area there. Just, it may be too early, but just curious.
I'm sure there's a plan for the bike trail. Like I said, the first part of this project, the bike trail will be intact. When they take the bike trail, the bridge out for the bike trail, they're going to have an 8-foot shoulder on that road. So I'm assuming they're going to use that 8-foot shoulder. They can put some barriers up and use the road bridge for pedestrian traffic temporarily until they put the new pedestrian bridge in. That's just me surmising at this point. We'll get more of that detail as it comes up, but they will have a plan for the pedestrians. And the same with the roundabout. There will be a plan for the pedestrians down there also.
I think Marin was next.
Martin Radigan?
Yes, this is Martin Radigan. I'm at 2205 White Feather Loop. Just a couple of questions, observations. As far as the trail, the real problem there as far as safety goes is the cyclists that just run through the stop sign and don't even look. And it's probably going to be not much changing that with the new. I like the idea of the roundabout, but just the cyclists running stop signs is really a problem. I've nearly hit a few myself and almost laid my motorcycle down avoiding them. But the question I have is there something you could post maybe on the town website of who we could reach out to about sound barriers for this turnpike project? Because the increase in noise pollution here in our neighborhoods, who knows how much more it's going to be, because the traffic studies are so old at this point, they may not be valid.
We brought up this. I can tell you, I went to a turnpike meeting probably 2.5 years ago. They had a Mineola as they were putting this together, and the opportunity to put sound barriers in had already passed. It was not part of the design.
But we, if they want to talk to somebody at the turnpike.
Oh, yeah,
let's give them a name.
Absolutely. You can actually, there's a project information and I can get that out. If you want to send me your email address through the website, I'll send you the information that I have.
All right. You say what's talking about the town website? Reach out there.
Yeah, if you go through the town website, or it's my email is skuntz@oaklandfl.gov. But if you go through the website, you can hit the contact us form and send me an email directly, and I'll get you the information.
Thank you.
The more people they hear from, the better.
Well, yeah, I mean, it seems they haven't even started the project. It doesn't make sense that they can't include that, especially with the increase in traffic volume now. The noise level is much greater than it was when they did the initial study.
Yeah, I don't know how they decide that. And, like I said, we give input, and how much of it is taken, we're not really sure. So are we going to move on to Christine?
Hi, I'm Christine DePascal, and I'm at 2265 White Feather Loop. My question was about the traffic access to Oakland Trails and J.W. Jones through all of the construction, especially given the turnpike and the roundabouts will be pretty much close together. Is there the only access is J.W. Jones and where that roundabout's going to be? Do you know what the construction time access is going to be?
I don't have the plans in front of me, but I know that they have to have a maintenance of traffic plan to keep, you have to be able to get in and out of your subdivision. So there will be a maintenance of traffic plan, and we will, as we get that, as the project gets going, we'll get that information out to residents.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's going to be a step-by-step thing.
Yes, it will, because it'll change depending on what, they'll be able to do a lot of construction because of the open land there. And then they'll start moving pieces and parts around as they work on other sections. So it'll be a changing landscape there, and we'll try to make sure we get that information out in a timely manner.
I wouldn't imagine that they're gonna leave people landlocked there.
Oh, no. There will be access in and out of JW Jones.
Has to be.
They have to.
They have no choice. In that matter, they have no choice.
Right.
I know that, Steve said it, this is going to be disruptive and we're just going to have to work really hard to do the best we can with this. And traffic tends to, that people tend to figure out how to get around these things. And we're just going to have to be very reactionary if we need to put traffic control in place at peak hours and things like that.
But as part of their maintenance of traffic, they will have those variable message boards out there. They will let you know when traffic's going to shift. There'll be flagmen out there. There's a whole lot of steps in the process when they're doing these construction projects.
Yeah, but Lou's got a good point. If the four-way stop backs up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We'll have to react.
Someone out there to move it.
They come up.
Yeah. And I don't know, if you're ready to talk about this, but we are doing a speed limit study. So that may play into this also.
Yeah, we're doing some preliminary work on looking at the speed limits across town. We're starting section by section to look at the neighborhood speed limits and just making sure we've got some consistency with speed limits among the neighborhoods. And eventually we'll have that discussion about Oakland Avenue also.
Yep. So that may play into this too, but there's more to come on that.
Yes.
Mayor, we have another hand raised.
Okay, Jeff.
I think it's.
Oh, no, it's the phone number below it. Okay, I don't know who you are, so please feel free to let us know.
Okay, I'm Patty Merrick. My husband and I are just starting to build on the corner of Hinchin and Daniels, so it'll be 102 North Daniels. My question is how are you going to keep people from turning down and coming down the dirt roads? Because my husband and I were out at our lot when they were clearing it, and it was the day of the accident on the turnpike. So they were rerouting down Oakland Avenue, and people were coming and flying down the dirt roads past us.
Well, they're not supposed to speed and we can deal with that, but those are roads and anybody who chooses to use them may use them.
So we can't do anything like the town of Windermere has done that says no through traffic.
I don't think we've ever gotten to a point where we've ever even discussed that.
We can talk about no through traffic, but if there's an accident like that, there's not a whole lot that you can do because they still are public roads, public funded roads.
Right. I'm just wondering when when all the stuff is rerouted though, how we're going to keep them from, coming through.
Like I said, this is going to be disruptive and painful for about a year as these two projects are underway. And there will be some traffic issues, I'm sure. And then if you ever have anything that happens on the turnpike or on Highway 50, that will also just exacerbate the issue. We will do our best as far as traffic, enforcement on the side roads to make sure that people are adhering to the rules.
And I was standing out there too, and I was, I'm 1 block from you. And, there was a lot of traffic on those roads and my first concern, and I think the commission's first concern is speed. And if traffic becomes disruptive on those roads, then we're going to have a conversation about that. But they are public roads, that are there to be used.
Stop sign and
Yes, yeah, like I said, traffic enforcement, and speed enforcement. We certainly will address that.
I don't think people are gonna want to get on the dirt roads unless it's really, that's your last alternative.
Yeah.
So, but we'll keep an eye on it. Okay.
Yes, that's all I've got.
Okay. Thank you. I don't know that this was the most fun subject we've ever had.
No, it's not.
But
Unfortunately.
I think we need to work together through this. Anybody else at the table have anything? Okay. All right, so we are going to our first public hearing, ordinance 2021-4.
Ordinance 2021-04, an ordinance of the town of Oakland, Florida, granting a special exception use permit to allow the establishment of a school, grades K-5 through 8th grade at 608 West Oakland Avenue, providing for severability, conflict, and an effective date. Oh, presentation might be helpful. Cool. I'm reading as mine. This one?
So, good evening, and as you all know, the Mosaic Church has been vacant for a time on Oakland Avenue. This is a request to establish a school, essentially an elementary school from kindergarten to 8th grade at the old church building, which is about 4 acres. The applicant is here. It's basically a 22, approximately 1,000 square foot building. And the only thing you'll really see of significance, well, you won't even see anything significant because it's basically all rearranging. We're going to look a little further at that. First of all, just looking at the site overall, you see that it's off of Jetty and backs up to essentially the Voss Farms, the Oakland land, and it's on the Oakland Avenue and as well as the West Orange Trail. So just see, I put this property appraiser map up there with the different relationships. You see the subdivision along across the street and other older subdivisions more or less to the east of there in the grid system of the old town. So land use wise, it's already, the site itself is already designated for institutional use as a church. There wouldn't be any change for the school there. And similarly, the zoning is residential zoning, allows for educational institutions such as a school like this, and most of it, and then most of the 1P is designated as agriculture. So here you see the site, and you see some yellow and some blue labels there that show you that the site actually, it doesn't have public land as in a street access. Those lands are there. The town owns Machete and a little bit kind of an L shape to the west there, right, exactly, to the adjacent to the nature preserve. And the yellow area is the access to the farm there, and we actually received an easement that shows that that is allowed. There's actually a pavement in there that on that piece of land that goes into the school and is pretty integral to the traffic circulation on the site. So it's been there a while and established for a while in terms of having that access to that site. Here is the existing site plan. It's what to say other than that it's surrounded by street access and parking. We'll talk a little bit more when we get to some of the other, you can see here the existing floor plan, and it's kind of hard to distinguish it at this level from the proposed floor plan. But suffice it to say, there's, especially on the western side of the site on the left, you see that there are proposed classrooms. Still remaining open in the sanctuary area, or used to be sanctuary, shall we say. So, moving along, you see there's an existing traffic circulation there, and we studied all this fairly much in detail. The applicant developed a traffic study, and which was with methodology that was approved by the town. I'm going to take this off here, so maybe you can hear me a little better if you want to or not. And and our traffic planner is online here. So if you have any questions, we can ask him. And then if you go forward, you'll see what is the revised traffic circulation plan, and that's in your packet. You see that it comes off of Oakland Avenue and goes to the north, goes around. You have your drop off over there on the more or less the north side of the site, and then coming back around. So actually I said that wrong. It's opposite. Excuse me. You come in Machete, if you will, and go around to the back of the site and back up around to the north. So you've got 950 feet of path, which would be about 38 cars, and about 450 feet of path that would accommodate 18 cars. The traffic has to cross itself a little bit there when it gets back to Machete, but I can say about the all right, that's after several revisions, shall we say. And so you can see some of the traffic movements tried to make it large enough where you can see the numbers there, the AM, PM, with the AM being larger numbers. What I want to say is that the total number of cars that there could be here would amount to 150 students. So you compare that to to our school, which is
5.5.
5.5. Yeah. So it's there's quite a different magnitude in this group, and they'll speak as they want to. They don't have that many people, many children yet. This is projection of the maximum they could have. So you've got your full build out there with some numbers, and without going into them exactly, even got the bicycle counts on there. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see that a purple area that proposes that there be a turn lane there, a westbound turn lane into that curve of Oakland Avenue. It's maybe 100, 150 feet at the very most there. You can tell that by looking at the lots, and the lots in Longleaf are 105 feet deep. So if you just sort of make that comparison, there's already some turn lanes there. So when you come traveling easterly on Oakland Avenue, you'll see that you can make a left turn with a special left turn lane there. You can see that kind of on the, exactly, thank you, Elise. And then you see that there are two turn lanes going out, basically going westerly and easterly to cross, well, easterly would be crossing Oakland Avenue. So we've put a number of additions on this. We'll talk about a little bit further here. there are some things, and we don't want to plan everything here in a forum. So we like to sit down with staff and go through all the turning movements, making sure, because there's directional, there's angled parking in there now. It's going to have to be straightened out going the other way, and some other little technical things that will have to take place there should you desire to approve this. You see on the number 3 there, having a crossing guard, and I know you all were talking about traffic management before, and this is something that we're experienced with on traffic management. A much lower magnitude, but yet still significant, and especially with the issue of the bicycles and pathways on the trail, and it's so close in there, the streets, the path, and then traveling in and going out. I know they did it all those years with the church, especially on Sundays when it's kind of busy. But notwithstanding, it's important that we have some, the applicant's been pretty cooperative and willing to do these things. Temporary signage, cones, whatever it takes, essentially. Then on to number 5. I don't know if there's really much brush and vegetation in there right now. That's, but we just want to make sure that it stays clear. Some of it's not theirs. You know, they have a responsibility for the easement and this and that. But regardless, we want to make sure that it stays clear and make sure, of course, that for all the above reasons, so to speak, that we don't back up traffic onto Oakland Avenue. So we talked about the turn lane, and also the town would require that this project, this renovation, hook up to the town sewer system, which is there now. So essentially, that is the gist of it. The Planning and Zoning Board heard that on March 16th, and they did pass it. It's not unanimous, but it include all those stipulations, and they recommended it be approved. So that's all I have. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them if I can. And again, I mentioned that we have our traffic consultant here who can talk about any of the technical aspects, turn lanes, things like that, as well as the applicant can address those matters as well.
The concern with the turn lanes is you're leaving, you got a left and a right going out. It's got to cross the trail to get to that too. How are we going to handle that as a right of way for these bikers coming back and forth across the trail as you go during the operating hours of these school? Is it going to be one of these where the bikers have to stop, that the cars have to yield? How's that going to work?
Well,
that makes it hard. I couldn't imagine at our school going across the trail to get into the school like that in cars.
I don't recall exactly how things worked out there when the church was in operation and fairly crowded, I might say.
Yeah.
With the biggest day of the week.
It would have been that would have been when the problem would be, I would think, on Sunday.
And this, yeah, well, I think that's root with the crux of the whole issue is how to handle this proximity of these ways. And we can all say that the bikers have stop signs, and whether they use them or not is another.
That's not even relevant.
Right. Well, that's why we're stipulating here that they would have to have people supervising the traffic.
The crossing guard is essentially to be there to help with the trail traffic and the car traffic at these busy times.
I don't think there's enough room between trail and Oakland Avenue that you could stop at the trail, wait for bikers and pedestrians to go, and then go across it and stop again at Oakland Avenue. It's almost going to have to be a clear shot.
And did we talk to the police department, because they used to direct traffic there, about how they handled it?
I would like to see that plan before we go too terribly far.
Yep.
On what they do there. And then
Chief Peak was involved with the discussions and with the stipulations.
But
Is Chief,
Jay can't answer the question.
is Chief online there at all?
No.
No? Okay, I would reserve that, but I would like an answer to that question on how that works.
Okay, we can certainly, see, he was really quite articulate in the planning here.
Chief was?
Chief Pete, and so he understands exactly what's being proposed and how it's being proposed. I'll certainly ask him what was done when the church was in operation, because clearly they had more than 150 something or another going in and out.
And the marriage of the two, if whatever Chief Peak was doing at the time, is that okay with the applicants and what they would do in the future, doing the same thing? So we need to make sure that all sinks in together.
Well, I don't think that we were, because Mosaic hired off-duty police officers too. And
no, I don't mean for us. Will they do the same thing that we did as the?
But that's the idea with the crossing guard. And then the applicant can speak to that. The idea of the crossing guard is to have somebody that helps with that ingress and egress of traffic and the trail traffic coming across there.
Okay, and I don't mean to make a big, well, I guess I do mean to make.
No, it's absolutely relevant to the.
Not enough in our school, getting people in and out of school without that.
Well, and it may be more than one somebody.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
Well, if we've done it before, whether the police were off duty or on
It
duty,
doesn't matter who, if it was done, it was done.
if it was done, I think we're curious as to how they did it.
Yeah.
This is Joe Robiaro. The other thing to remember is that school, it's peak hours in the morning between, 7 and 8, 7:30, 8 o'clock. And in the afternoon, they get out kind of in the middle of the afternoon, which are kind of the off peaks that you would have people on the trail. So it's not going to have as much of a conflict there because, again, the trail is more on the weekends. And we're talking weekday here for the school for the opening and closing time period. So there will be some slight impact. And one of the things you could do is you could put up stop signs on the trail, because I don't think they exist there today.
That'll
The riders don't. Oh, I know the riders don't like it, but there's some other areas where you put them up because they are a vehicle, so they have to.
Already stop signs on the trail.
So.
We have lots of stop signs on the trail and no one stops.
I don't disagree.
Well, it's anything like they do with Lakeside, an officer's actually standing in the middle of the road directing traffic. And I would imagine that Mosaic was very similar to Lakeside back in the day. So, is the expectation of having somebody standing in the road and directing traffic, or having a crossing guard that's there with the trail, helping direct, trail users and car users as they're coming up to the trail. I think that's the suggestion at this point with the crossing guard. But again, we can let the applicants speak to that. But the suggestion was not to have an off-duty officer actually.
That's not where I was going at. I was just asking what the plan was and using our officers on Sunday as a reference for.
It's just a.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But the idea is based around that stipulation of having a crossing guard.
So is this 150 students?
Yeah.
Is that the plan?
Yeah.
Why don't we let them talk and then we might get
Okay.
questions back.
Yeah, I'll just address the access real quickly. I apologize. My name is Dennis Saliga. I'm with the applicant, Scott. And I apologize, our traffic consultant was unable to make it, but I can assure you that the school is very concerned about the safety of the children and the parents, and are happy to, have the police and whoever were involved with the church to help with the planning of the, how the crosswalk will be involved, or whether the police will be involved at those, the times that are school, the people are coming to the school as well as leaving. And I think Scott would be better to speak because the school is open today in a different facility. So he can speak a lot to how they handle that today, which obviously is a little different without the crosswalk. But he can talk about stacking that they have and how they alternate the drop off and pick up between the different grades. And again, just a reminder, the 150 is the maximum number of students that they're expecting to have here. It's just K through 8th grade. So I'll let them speak a little more to those specifics, but we're here to have, and happy to answer any questions you all have. So appreciate the time.
Good evening. My name is Scott Schmaber. My wife and I started Family Christian School in 2003. And our vision for a ministry was to have a school that went from kindergarten to 8th grade, just one single class in every grade, and then to have small classes. So it was a family, just like our name of the school, it was a family atmosphere. So the 8th graders could speak into the lives and help mentor even the youngest, smallest, kindergartners. And so that's our deliberate plan, is to grow no larger than 150. Right now we're at about 112 pre-COVID, and we were maybe 126. Currently we meet at Beulah Baptist Church in Winter Garden, and we've been there since 2003, and we've had no problem with dropping off or picking up on Beulah. We've never caused a traffic situation there. I measured out the maximum length of our car line might be 665 feet maximum with our current cars. So there's no way that we're going to reach Oakland Avenue. Should be plenty to not even stack up onto Machete. Our hours are such that they're a little different than the charter school. We meet at 8 o'clock on 3 days a week, and then we start at 10 o'clock on Wednesdays and Fridays, so there's no conflict there. And then all 5 days we get out at 1 o'clock. So we experience most of our traffic really is 20 minutes before drop off. And that's, like at 7:40 to 8 or 8:05 at the latest, and a few stragglers who are tardy. And then in the afternoon, again, it starts because we get out at 1. People start at about 1:45, and we go till about 1:30 at the latest, before all the students have left. We do have a few that stay after school till about 3:30, but that's no more than 10 or 15 kids usually. So we're at 150 maximum right now. As I said, we're about 112 or so. That is, equates to maybe 88 or 89 cars right now that we're seeing twice a day. Because we do have so many.
I'm sorry, how many cars did you say?
About 89 or so.
Siblings.
We do have families,
siblings.
multiple kids. We also have kids that carpool, families that carpool, things
We
like
remember carpooling, don't we, Mike?
that. And to echo Jay, we are very concerned, of course, about the safety of the kids and the families coming on, and of course, the motorists out on the road and the people that are using the trail. And so we want to really emphasize that section with crossing guards and signage. And I think, again, for the amount of time that we're there, I think, our plan would be very successful. Shouldn't have any trouble.
Now, Wednesdays would be your day of conflict with times for the charter school, because that's our early release day.
Mhm.
And they get out 1:15 or some odd like that. So you will be on, but you are on the other end of town, granted.
Yeah, we shouldn't see any traffic conflicts. I don't have to imagine I come down Plymouth Street and go west. And again, most of the cars are gone by 1:30.
Okay. Again, most of my concern, it's just such, it's kind of like as we're talking about the roundabout and proximity to 50 and all that. It's the same type of thing there. It's a very weird intersection with the trail being so close and parallel to the road, and it just worries me because we can talk stop signs all we want for bikers and pedestrians. It doesn't work, and no stop sign going to bring anybody back if something happens.
Yeah, and that's why we agreed with the planning committee that, we have safety cross guards out there to help everybody.
Okay.
I like that added proposed right turn lane. How many vehicles fit there on that right turn lane? And how far can we take that back?
I think the suggestion was 150 feet, which would be, it'd be just a handful of cars. But I think it's enough to, then we won't have people stopping on Oakland Avenue, which was the intent of that right turn lane. Being able to decelerate into the turn lane and not have to stop on Oakland Avenue or back up on Oakland Avenue.
Yeah, because it couldn't be a whole lot of cars because you got 450 feet makes 18 cars. So 150 feet, it's more just, I think, to turn, which is still a great idea.
And so, you know, on the staff level, like I said, Pete was involved and Mike Parker was involved and our consultant was involved. We did look at this and ask a lot of questions to try to, you know, make sure that, you know, there was a good plan in place. Because the last thing we want is to have something where we're having cars back up on Oakland Avenue.
Yeah, like I said, we got to.
And as well as the safety aspects of this with the trail.
So can anybody apply and attend this school?
Yes, ma'am. One of the things that we did is we try and keep our tuition low for middle income families to be able to attend. So if you look at our tuition compared to Foundation or First Academy or, you know, any of those, we're considerably cheaper. So yes, anybody can attend.
But there is tuition involved.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Okay.
Other than the tuition, is there any other requirements? Like point grade or average or?
No, we want all the students to be successful academically. So we do have a entrance exam that they take just to make sure they're on grade level compared to, you know, what our curriculum is. So as long as they test in for whatever grade level they're interested in, then, you know, we can accept them.
And how many kids do you put in the class? Do you go with the guidelines for the county for the
Yes,
18 to 22?
Yeah, we do 14 for elementary school and up to 18 in middle school.
Okay. You stay a little lower.
And we try and keep it slow.
Do you still have that dodgeball circle ring?
The Gaga pits?
The Gaga
Have you
pits?
had experience in Gaga ball?
Yeah, well, I went to your facility
Okay.
and I saw the kids having a blast there. I just wanted to play.
I've never played it. We might bring one of those over. You know, we might also put up a basketball net out, a net on the parking lot.
Yeah, those Gaga pits are, kids have a blast.
Yes. Sometimes it's just a cloud of dust. You don't know how many kids are in there.
I don't know if you can answer this question, but being a traffic engineer isn't here, but on page.
He's here, he's online.
Okay.
Our traffic engineer's online.
Oh, our traffic engineer. On page 59 of our packet, it says daily trips generated is 617. Where does that number come from?
Alicia, can you unmute our traffic engineer?
Yeah, I'm unmuted.
Okay.
Their trip generation that was used in the report is based on the National Institute of Transportation Engineers Trip Generation 10th edition. And it collects numerous data from all different kinds of land uses, but that was used to determine the daily trip generation. And what that takes into consideration is they do counts, and it means everybody that comes and goes to the site. So the 617 basically represents, you know, cars that are entering and exiting. So it really reflects like 312 cars that would visit the site on an average day. And that includes the postman, any kind of deliveries, parents dropping off, picking up their kids, all the teachers, employees coming and going. But that's an average. And that's what that 617 represents.
Wow.
Would be a lot.
Well, you have to remember that that's also the entrance to get into the nature preserve.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, would that take into account the traffic to the nature preserve also on Machete?
When they did their study, they did a count that they did. They did a morning and afternoon count. And remember, the count was done during the times that you would expect to have school in session or opening, and also when school was exiting in the afternoon. And it didn't necessarily correspond to when the nature preserve might have their most traffic, but it represented the peak period for the school. So yes, it does take into consideration any kind of existing traffic that already occurs out there. And their traffic was overlaid on top of that. And plus we had them grow some traffic just to reflect general growth in the area. So, you know, it was a kind of, the traffic basically represents three different types of traffic, you know, your existing, your growth, and the school. So yeah, they did take that in consideration.
And is that Jennifer that has her hand up? Jennifer?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can now.
Excellent. Jennifer Hunt, Director of the Oakland Nature Preserve. I just wanted to state that something to remember is that when schools get back to their regular types of schedules, we do have schools out at the preserve on a regular basis, including the Montessori school that comes out every Tuesday and every Thursday. So that will also add to the traffic mix at the same time of day because they are usually there at 8 a.m. as well. So now we're talking probably an additional 30 cars in and out.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. All right.
I got another question on the traffic, for the traffic engineer. And on the same page, you got in the morning, 75 vehicles entering, 62 exiting, which I've figured it'd be staff entering and not leaving, quite a difference. But then in the afternoon, you got only 44 vehicles entering and 49 leaving. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me that the parents not showing up and picking up their kids or.
Okay, what this represents is that you have the daily trips where they've got this hose out and they count how many people go there on a 24-hour basis. For the AM peak hour, they're looking at 1 hour, but some parents show up before that hour, some parents show up after that hour, or other people, you know, make trips outside that 1 hour that the AM peak hour represents. And that's the highest peak hour for the school of, you know, when it starts. So it basically represents the hour just before school starts up to when school, you know, the bell rings and the kids are supposed to be in class. And so those numbers represent the employees probably got there before that. So those numbers of 75 and 62 probably represent, I'm going to say 90% of the parents dropping off and their kids and then leaving. And the same thing in the afternoon. Again, the employees are going to leave after the dismissal time period because teachers have to clean up or do whatever they do. And, you know, they might work until 4 or whatever their time period is. Whereas if the school lets out at 3, that's what this number represents. So this is, again, the parents. And again, it's stretched out. A lot of times what you have in the afternoon that you don't have in the morning, because in the morning, a lot of times parents drop their children off as they go to work. And so they don't go there and sit and wait. You know, they time it so that, okay, I know school's going to be starting, I'll drop my child off and then go. But what happens in the afternoon, and I've seen this in a lot of other places, that you get parents show up, and that's where the queuing comes in. And that it's more of an issue in the afternoon and not in the morning of the queue, because people will go there, and it doesn't matter that you tell them you don't need to be here an hour before your child is out, because people still show up. But parents will get there and you'll get a long line. And so that entering and exiting represents the parents that have shown up to pick up their child. And now once they have their child, then they leave fairly quickly. But the numbers don't quite match exactly because it extends over that 1 hour. But what we focus on as a traffic analysis is a peak hour. And that's what those numbers represent. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Thank you. So I guess basically we can figure 89 cars of parents coming in the morning and in the afternoon and picking up their kids and dropping off.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, and again, his numbers reflect their current school, where these numbers reflect the national average. So his are going to be more pertain specifically to their school, because they have a better handle on who's coming and who's going.
Okay. All right. Yeah, thank you. That does answer my questions.
Okay. Any further questions here at the table?
So,
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I have to get a motion first before I open it to the public, or can we invite public comment? I need a motion.
Generally, you do a motion and then open it up.
Do we have a motion?
I will make that motion that we accept the first public hearing of ordinance 2021-04.
I'll second it.
So you're saying you're going to recommend approval?
I'm sorry, what did I say?
But you didn't want to, any stipulations on the traffic situation with the West Orange Trail that you brought up earlier?
Yeah, I could amend and say pending a solid plan for traffic involving the trail and Oakland Avenue. I believe that would probably be appropriate, yes.
All right, so I'm going to open it to the public. Anybody in the room that wishes to speak? Do you need to re-second?
He's.
Yeah, I'll re-second.
Okay. All right, anybody in the audience who wishes to speak? Sure.
This is one more thing that's being added onto our sewer system, right? Are we ever going to get it into the downtown area? Does anybody have a time frame for this?
Do you want to answer that question?
It's going to take some time to get to the infill areas. And we can talk offline a little more in depth about the process, but it's a very expensive endeavor and it'll come as funding's available. We don't want to put that burden on the residents because it can be quite costly. So, but I'd be happy to talk with you offline about it.
That's all right. Just a little core town, this seems like it's never going to get here.
I know. And part of that is, what this school would hook onto is already built.
It's already existing, and so they're able to just hook right into it pretty much. So that's why that's.
And we really have to work. We have to work very hard to figure out how not to put this burden on the residents when we switch over, because it is very costly. So, all right. Anything else from anybody in the room? Okay. I'm asking for raised hands for anybody who's joining us virtually. Okay, I see Jennifer.
You need to unmute.
There we go. So I just also wanted to point out that it may not seem as an issue for some, but as you are exiting off of Machete Trail onto Oakland Avenue, there is a line of sight issue on that curve and I hate to say it because of the plantings, because I love the plantings, but you'll get nailed on that intersection. So that is something that we need to look at it as well, because it's the same issue turning from the west turn lane as well onto Machete.
And that's why, Jennifer, I think they had me amend the motion to pending a solid traffic plan there.
That's a good addition
Yeah.
to the concerns.
And I will add too, in the long term, that is one intersection that's identified in the mobility master plan for improvements. And so as we move into planning, more planning for Oakland Avenue, this intersection should be one that we prioritize for an improvement. A bigger, much more, bigger scope of an improvement. So I will throw that out there. That will be a discussion that we'll have somewhere down the road.
All right.
One of the stipulations was that you have to ensure that visibility is clear in all directions by maintaining vegetation. That was in the stipulations also.
And they can only do that on the parts that they have control of. So we'll have to look to see if we have any other issues that maybe we can take care of. And Mike will be here for the second reading and we can talk about that with Mike if there's anything we need to do as far as the town and sightlines.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else virtually raising their hands? Okay, I do not see anybody. I'm going to bring it back to the table. For a vote, and I will be upfront. I have great concerns about the traffic. I think it's a timing issue with everything that's coming. As much as I would love a school through the 8th grade, I have no issue with that. I think that would be a wonderful thing. But I do have concerns about the traffic. So I'm going to call for a vote unless anybody has anything else. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay. So you have 4 ayes, 1 nay. Okay, and hopefully we'll have more solid thoughts on traffic in the next.
So
iteration.
for the second reading, the expectation is to work with the applicant on having a transportation, or a traffic plan for that intersection.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, what do we got? Town manager report. And Parker isn't here.
No, Parker's not here, so.
Oh, he's online.
No, he's better not be.
I'll make this real quick. I got just a couple of things, a bunch of small things. First thing, phase 7 of Oakland Park. Phase 6, A, B1, B2, B3 are all under some semblance of construction. They will be shifting over to phase 7, which is behind Mackey and along Star in that area behind Winter's Landing and on the east side of Southern Oaks. They will put out the silt fencing and define those buffers that are supposed to be there. But they will be moving some heavy equipment and starting the site work on that section. I know that's good and bad. There's people that'll be upset about it, and there's also people that are excited about the future of golf carts in the town. So
and we're going to make sure that we put that out everywhere we can put it.
I've been talking it up, and we will probably have just a very, very informational update on Facebook that just says phase 7 of Oakland Park will be moving forward.
We're going to put it on our website.
We can put it on the website. I'll get with Alicia. She's got her communication channel.
Yeah. I just want to make sure.
But I'm bringing it up at this meeting also for that very reason. It's on the record that they will be moving.
And there's some non-native plants that we agreed will be removed.
Within the buffer, as they start moving forward, we will look at there will probably be some cleaning up of that buffer area where there's non-native and invasive species. And I'm sure Jennifer would, agree with me that we need to look at those.
Oh, yeah. I think we all do.
But in general, those buffers will remain intact. There just may be some cleaning up that does happen. So next thing, and Commissioner Satterfield can weigh in on this, was the Easter Bunny event was very successful.
Yes.
Planned for around 200 kids, had 176 pass through for photos, Easter eggs, candy, and gift bags. 167 people toured the facility, and Healthy West Orange had a table out there and gave out 150 carrot seeds and bubbles. So about 250 to 300 people in attendance. I think it was a very successful event, and I saw some very nicely dressed up kids for pictures and stuff. So next thing is I let the commissioners know that we were up for an FPRA award. So we'll be accepting that award on Thursday night. I don't know exactly what category, but once we get it, we'll have a press release on that. I believe Ashlyn and Val are going to accept the award because Alicia will be out of town.
Okay.
So that's coming on Thursday night. And then the other thing we're doing is the Florida League of Cities has some award categories. We are going to turn in an application for the Florida Citizenship Award that focuses on city projects or programs that build stronger, more participatory residents. And we're going to use the Santa's Lane event that we had at Christmas that was so successful. So that application will be going in this week with the Florida League of Cities.
Awesome.
So that's something that we've been kind of working on in the background. The vaccination event on Friday went very smoothly. It started off a little rough because we had some traffic issues here in town with the turnpike being closed. I think that was brought up earlier in the meeting, but once the things got going, it was smooth. Had a lot of very grateful residents that were able to partake in the event. So that went very well, and kudos to everybody involved with that. FOLA support. So I spoke with the mayor, and FOLA is working on ensuring that the state fully supports St. Johns River Water Management District on the maintenance of Lake Apopka. They're supposed to be putting $5 million a year towards the lake through St. John's. They've cut that money the last couple of years. So I've got a letter and I'll read it real quick. And I just wanted a consensus that the commission supports this. On behalf of the town commission, this letter is to express the support of the town of Oakland for the advocacy of the Friends of Lake Apopka to improve and restore Lake Apopka to its former glory. Lake Apopka is such a vital part of the town of Oakland for so many different reasons, including the connection to the Oakland Nature Preserve. The town commission supports the efforts of the Friends of Lake Apopka to ensure that funding through the Land Acquisition Trust Fund 375.041, Section 3B3, and the amount of $5 million per year towards the restoration of Lake Apopka is fully allocated next fiscal year. This funding has been blocked in previous years in the state's budget implementing bill. So just looking for a consensus on that, just supporting the Friends of Lake Apopka and their efforts to keep the lake in good health.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Definitely. And then the last thing with everything that's been going on, we've been having some side conversations on the Arts and Heritage Center. I just want to kind of put it out in the atmosphere. We don't have to necessarily discuss it tonight. I think we'll have some opportunities at the next meeting, but starting to talk about the grand opening for the building now that things are moving in a different direction with COVID. Staff will need about 30 to 45 days to coordinate some kind of an event and make sure that our donors and our partners are part of the event. So we want to talk about timing, maybe at the next meeting, as to when we want to move forward with that. And then I can set staff in motion as far as putting it together. So talked a little bit with Commissioner Satterfield about that, and just wanted to kind of get everybody thinking about it, and then we can kind of start setting a time frame at the next meeting, and then I can put staff to task on getting that set up.
And Mike, you and Steve would like comments if we have them or thoughts, right?
Yes.
Yeah, please, you can get with me offline and let me know if you have any thoughts on it. And then, like I said, I think we'll have an opportunity to maybe discuss it a little bit at the next meeting.
And we're doing good on our Fridays. Do we have any numbers at all?
They've been getting like 30, 35 people. I don't have the latest numbers, but they've had a few days where were really good. Other days like 30, 35. And then we'll be doing the jazz, and I'll let Commissioner, McMillan talk about that. We are going to do an event this month. So
that's awesome.
Well, and as we're starting to do events, and it's time for a grand opening. That's why we said, let's get start, thinking pretty hard about how quickly we might want to be able to safely do that. So.
Well, and you want to make sure that you give people time to get calendars aligned and things like the right, people that are key need to be there.
So, like I said, I think that our first step is us on what we agree might be an appropriate time, is it appropriate? Are we ready to go? And then we move on from there on our time, and knowing that they need 45 days or so to actually plan an event from the time that we say, hey, you do it.
45 days is, it sounds like a long time, but it's not.
It's
You need more like 90 days.
We're talking about this weekend, that weekend, this weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
And, and with the, things are turning around with Corona, and, I can speak for myself and I can speculate for others, but, I'm out of Dodge for a while. I've got the places I need to get to and tickets that need to be used, and, so I think a lot of people are doing that very same thing.
Right. Okay, well, like I said, just the thought of what everyone thinks might be appropriate, and then we can come back to the next.
And I would love to see, a weekend day, that the center's open. I think we would get some really good traffic eventually. So
Hap says he can get to Rolling Stones there, so it's
I get close.
hey, I know you're talking about the highwaymen, and I think that would just draw a lot of people. So anyway, thank you. Do you have anything else, Steve?
That's all I've got. Thank you.
Okay. Sal?
Good.
Rick?
I'm good.
Joseph?
Steve was mentioning this is International Jazz Appreciation Month. And so just on April 30th is actually International jazz day all over the world. So we're gonna have someone playing music. It's not gonna be an actual event. We're gonna have somebody playing music while people are coming through the center on April 30th, which is all over the world. Herbie Hancock started this, years ago, but I think this is the 10th year. Yeah, this is the 10th year. So you're going to stand, I know it's on the actual International Jazz Day website. So our event is an official event for International Jazz Day, which is worldwide. So yeah, it's going to be listed there. So you're going to have somebody playing on that day. Pivoting to Tri-County, or I guess you could say the luncheon is this coming Thursday, or the regular meeting is coming Thursday. Virtual. Next month, we're looking at doing the, a 1 hour meeting, and then pivoting into the ethics class in Winter Park.
Winter Park.
Yeah, so that's live too. So we're looking at doing that live.
Where do you usually have it in Winter Park?
At their community center. They have a nice community center and just not too far from
Okay.
Yeah, it's just west of Park Avenue.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we've been having that. Yeah, so that's what's planned. And
next month?
Yeah, next month, the third Thursday in May. I think it's the 13th, I believe. Or is it mid-May?
Yeah, I'll be there this Thursday.
Yeah. And so that's what's planned with that. I think that's all I wanted to discuss. Oh, yeah, and then talking about doing, of course, we, looking to do an event to get the citizens involved as it relates to advocacy at the state level, not from an Oakland perspective, but putting on my Tri-County League president hat. The Florida League, their staff, along with Tony Ortiz, the league's president, and then myself, we're trying to get more of our citizens involved as it relates to interacting with our state legislators. Now, we don't have a problem locally, but statewide, there's just a lot of bills and ordinances coming our way that's going to preempt what we can do. And so we just want the citizens to know what we're discussing on the state level. And so we have an event planned for here, May 22nd. From like 9:30 to about 10:30, 11, just to, share with the citizens and, get the word out as far as what's going on, what's coming our way, what they're trying to tell us, what we can do on the local level. That's going to affect, our residents and anyone in the area. So information about that as far as sign up and all that kind of, all the information as far as the sign up and the, how you could be involved and what we plan on doing is going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks or so.
And Karen will be sending that out?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's all.
And the third Thursday in May is May 20th.
There it is. Yeah.
Now Steve had mentioned the Easter Bunny. I just have to add that the kids were all great. Easter Bunny told me that he was so thrilled that his special guest was Kathy's daughter this year, and it just made his day.
Oh,
So that's on the record.
the Easter Bunny has a lot of history with my daughter, who lives in Wisconsin and was visiting.
And that's all I have. Good.
That's great. May 20th, West Orange Chamber is trying to put together a business after hours here in the meeting hall, and we'll be an in-kind sponsor. So more information to come on that. And then I have that meeting Thursday also. So third Thursdays of the month are a busy meeting day for government entities.
You should have gotten something from the chamber also with Sean Snaith on, I believe, May 4th.
May 4th, yeah, I got, like I said.
I sent it out.
Yes.
We appreciate that.
If you want, we have to get a table or individuals. So if you want to go, please let Elise know so we know whether we need to get a table or
Is
not.
that Ocoee Lakeshore? Do you remember off the top of your head? Is that Ocoee Lakeshore?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Just remember that May 20th Tri-County meeting. It's lunch, meeting 12 to 1, but then the ethics class is from 1 to 4. So
okay.
That'll be a long day.
That'll be a very long day.
Then come back over. I think we did that before. We had a meeting or.
Yeah, Stina picked the date and the meeting and we were open here, so at least you have like a couple hours, or you won't have much downtime. If you decide to do all of it.
Cram it all in one day.
That's every fourth Thursday of the month just seems to be the day for all of these things. So, do we have a mayor and city manager lunch? Is that next week?
It's on my calendar. It hasn't popped up on my radar yet, but there's one comment at some point. I believe there's one in April.
Yeah, so. We'll let you know about that. Is there anything else? Do we have anything else?
No, man.
All right, Joseph.
All right, if all hearts and minds are satisfied, it is 8:39 PM. Adjourned.
For picking up and dropping off the